The room was silent except for the faint sound of a spoon clinking against a chipped plate. The little girl, no older than 7, sat at the wooden table, her eyes swollen from tears. She pushed the bowl of watery soup away from herself, whispering in a trembling voice, "I can't eat this anymore." Her words weren't meant for anyone, maybe not even for herself, just a tiny cry from a heart too young to carry so much suffering. Her mother, exhausted and pale, looked on with helplessness. She worked 2 jobs, barely keeping the lights on, and food had become a luxury. Every day it was the same soup, thin, tasteless, made of scraps she managed to gather. Her daughter deserved more, but life hadn't given them a choice. The little girl's frail hands trembled as she tried to hold the spoon again, but she couldn't. Hunger was one thing, but the monotony of the same food, the shame of being poor, and the deep longing for something different broke her tiny spirit. That's when the door creaked open. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped inside, his polished shoes echoing against the cracked floor tiles. He looked completely out of place in this broken home. The girl froze, her mother gasped, and silence filled the air. The man's eyes softened as they fell on the child. He was a millionaire, though no one in this poor neighborhood knew why he had come. He had built empires, owned companies, and traveled the world, but at this moment, he wasn't looking at his success. He was looking at hunger, real, painful hunger, in the eyes of a child who had already endured too much. He stepped closer, his voice calm yet powerful. "You don't have to eat this anymore," he said. "From today, your life changes." The girl blinked through her tears. Her mother tried to protest, embarrassed by their situation, but the man raised a hand gently. He explained that years ago, he too had been a child who had gone hungry. He had known what it was like to sit at a table and pray for food that never came. And it was a kind stranger, someone who chose to care, who gave him a second chance at life. That moment had shaped his future, and now, standing here, he realized it was his turn to be that stranger for someone else. The days that followed felt like a miracle. The little girl and her mother were moved into a safe, warm home. For the first time in years, the child ate until her heart was content, fruits, bread, warm meals that smelled of hope and love. But the story wasn't just about food. The millionaire enrolled the girl in school, gave her mother work in one of his companies, and promised them a life of dignity. Yet challenges didn't vanish overnight. The mother struggled with self-doubt, afraid that she wasn't worthy of such generosity. The little girl found it difficult to adjust in school, where other children laughed at her worn-out clothes and shy demeanor. There were nights she cried herself to sleep, fearing that all of this might be taken away again. The millionaire, however, didn't just give money, he gave guidance. He visited, encouraged, and taught them to believe in themselves. Slowly, the mother grew stronger. With steady income, she regained confidence. The little girl, inspired by the kindness she had received, began to excel in her studies. Teachers noticed her brilliance, her ability to dream bigger than her circumstances. She no longer murmured, "I can't eat this anymore." Instead, she whispered to herself, "I will make sure no child goes hungry again." Years passed. The little girl grew into a young woman with a vision. She pursued education, built community programs, and dedicated her life to feeding hungry children. The millionaire, now older, watched with pride as the seed he had planted blossomed into a tree of compassion. The story teaches us that sometimes, the smallest cry, a child whispering that she can't eat anymore, can shake the heart of someone powerful enough to make a difference. And sometimes, one act of kindness doesn't just change a day, it changes an entire destiny. So, dear viewers, what would you have done if you walked in at that moment? Would you ignore the tears, or would you extend a hand of kindness? Comment below your thoughts, because your perspective matters, and your words may inspire someone else to take action. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to my channel, Be Kind Always, for more stories that remind us of the power of compassion. Together, we can create a world where no child has to whisper, "I can't eat this anymore."